The views expressed in this podcast are solely based on personal experience and is not intended to replace professional medical advice. Our opinions should not be taken as therapeutic advice, as this podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only.
Happy Father's Day, Daddy!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Police Condition. This is Ryan, and sitting across from me and always standing beside me, as always, my lovely wife Laura.
Hello.
Today, as you just heard in our intro, is Father's Day. Well, if you're listening to it now, it's a couple days after Father's Day because I was working Father's Day, so I kind of missed out on all the fun and enjoying the family. But that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. It's a little special edition. It won't be too long of an episode tonight. We'll just talk a little bit about missing out time with the family and how to optimize that time with your family, especially if you're like me and you're working deep nights.
Yeah, as a family, we have a rent-a-dad, so we were able to rent a dad for the day, so it was great.
Yeah, I hope he was as cool as me.
No, we celebrated a little earlier, which is nice, and especially when the kids are younger, then they don't really know the dates or anything. But it still kind of sucks that you weren't there at actual Father's Day.
Yeah, it never is fun, but it is nice as of right now with the kids being so young, like you said.
Yeah.
We can definitely say Thursday was Father's Day, even though it was Sunday. They don't really understand, but it was good. I mean, I worked this whole weekend. I got up a little earlier on Sunday just so I could spend some time with the family. So it's kind of what we're here to talk about today. So
How was your Father's Day being at work?
at work, work was fun.
Yeah.
Wasn't as good as staying home with the family, obviously. But,
Yeah.
it is work, and that's kind of what we sign up for. We know we're going to miss out on some of these holidays and some of these days. And it's never fun, but it's part of the job. So.
Yeah.
So if you follow our Facebook page, you might have seen I made a post about how we optimize time with our family, but also still get enough sleep. What are some ways that we can combat that?
Oh, it depends, I guess, because I know you work deep, so that's a little bit more of a challenge than people who work, the day shifts or mid shifts. Um, yeah, then you have officers who work, the 5 hour or 5 day a week, or what is that? Is it 12 and
8 hours, 5 days a week? Yeah.
is it 12 and 8? Like, is there no in between?
No, it's normally just eight,
Or 12?
8 or 12. But, I mean, some people do tens. I guess there
Okay.
are some 10-hour shifts, which those I've done those a couple times.
Oh
Those
yeah,
aren't
that's
too
true.
bad. So
Yeah.
you get a couple days off still. The,
So you worked days for a long time for the 8 hour shift, so it was 5 days a week.
yes.
And I felt that was harder than you working 12's day shift.
Right.
Just
Yeah, I mean, that 5 days a week, it wears on you pretty fast.
mm,
And I feel like I get more time with my family working 12s because, yeah, the days I'm working, I'm not really present,
mhm.
but then I'm off more. I get more time off. Like this week, I mean, due to the holiday and everything, I only have to work one day this week. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of time with the family this week, and that's awesome. So,
Yeah, it's like the 8 hour shifts, like you'd come home and then like have dinner and like maybe an hour before our kids' bedtime, and that happened 5 days a week, and then the 2 days. But the 12 hours, I feel like you do those longer shifts of like 3 days off and 2 days off every now and then is a lot better. You get the whole time with them is nice.
yeah, and I definitely like the every other weekend because at least I know I have every other weekend off. When I was working eights, I had random days off, like what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I had to
Yeah.
work every weekend at that point because I didn't have the seniority at the time.
Yeah. And I think it's easier to prioritize like family time when you have like the 12-hour shifts, because like a certain amount of days you can get things done around the house, you can hang out with your family, whereas like when you're working those 5 days you have like a work ritual before and after work. So like the days that you do work on the 12 hours, you'll wake up because you work deeps. You'll wake up, you'll have about maybe 2 hours, but you have a ritual before you go to work. It's not really like quality time with the family just because you are working that day. But on the days off, obviously, you don't have to do that, and it's nice.
Right. So I think one of the biggest issues with, especially when work at nights, though, is when you only have those 2 days off. Do you want to sleep and optimize that sleep on your first day off, and then basically miss most of
Mm,
that day off, or do you lose some sleep just to spend time with your family? And I know I definitely push more on the losing sleep end. I think a
Mm,
lot when it comes to family because I feel like I don't get to be with the kids as much, especially when our oldest is in school. Because
mm,
this last few months right before the summer break, I barely got to see him.
yeah,
I felt like I only saw him every other week because of his school schedule and then working nights because I would leave before he would get home.
that's hard on him too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was never fun.
and I know now, I'll have to get you up early to see my clients in the morning and get you out of the room because sometimes it's telehealth and you can't be in there. So I know you
Yeah,
lose sleep that way as well.
that is not fun
Yeah,
either.
be done in an hour, I promise.
I know, and I try to spend time with the kids, but a lot of times I end up falling back asleep on the couch, and I hate it because I'm trying to be with them and be there, but and
Mm,
present. But a lot of times I can't be because I'm just that tired at that time. Because
yeah.
that's only what maybe 3 4 hours of sleep at that point. So
Yeah, and it really messes with your circadian rhythm as well. Like you're interrupted of sleep. I mean, you probably got what 3, 4 hours of sleep, and then I'm waking you up. Hey, I have a client. Go downstairs. You got screaming kids downstairs, trying to get them fed and like pay attention to them. And your mind and your body is just like, we need to go back to sleep. What are you doing? Like, this is not normal.
right. I mean, what that last time I ended up falling back asleep on the couch, and
Mm.
then what happened? We had powdered sugar all over the game room because I fell asleep and our toddler somehow got into it. So
That was fun.
yeah, that was a fun cleanup. But I will say our 6-year-old did help with the cleanup on that
Yeah,
one,
it's
and
good.
he did really good with that. So,
Yeah.
which was surprising because he hates cleaning also.
Yeah. I think it's a big challenge with being on deep nights. I feel like too, because just like I said before, like just being in rhythm and sync with them, just a healthy, I guess, sleep habit is really hard. It's not just like the kids screaming or me waking you up to do work, but we have blackout shades and those aren't even great. Like you still get light in there, you still hear the sounds, like all these things that even though you're sleeping, you're not like, I don't think you're reaching real REM sleep really in the daytime like that. Do you feel like you get to that point?
Occasionally, there are some times. I mean, there's some times where I'll be out and I won't hear you get up. I won't hear the kids at all. And I mean, there's sometimes I'll have dreams. I mean, I've told you about it, like, oh, I had a dream finally, and I
Yeah.
haven't dreamed in like 3 months. I feel like.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll hit it occasionally, but it's not where it should be. I'm not getting what I need to be.
Yeah.
And then that's another thing is how much caffeine do I take in? I don't want to take too much in, and then
Yeah.
become a caffeine addict.
It's not too healthy if you drink too much of that.
Right. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how long have you been doing on deeps?
um, altogether,
No, I mean like since you
just
started
just this
this.
recent one with the new department. It's been I think 2.5, almost 3 months now. So
Okay. And yeah, I mean, like I've told you before, the circadian rhythm you get adjusted. I think it's 4 months. So if you have that same sleep cycle, that same sleep pattern for 4 months, your body adjusts to that. So I mean, you're getting there. I think it'll be more, effective sleep once you get there. But I know some departments was telling you before, like they go 4 months and they have mandatory have to change schedule. So like people on deep nights will get to that fourth month, their body will finally get used to it, and then they're like, hey, you got to be on days now. Sorry.
I just don't understand that. I don't understand how these departments don't have the knowledge to realize that that's not good for their officers.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I never understood, and I've always understood the whole being Marine Corps and being a cop, the needs of the department, needs of the Marine Corps kind of thing, but you can't get the needs out from your officers if you're not giving them what they need. So
Yeah, and I don't know why they do it every 4 months. Like I'm sure there's like a fairness to it. Like no one wants to work deep, so we're just gonna switch it up so everyone it's more fair. But I mean, maybe a year of doing it might have been a little bit better choice. But I don't
right.
know their whole decisions behind that.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of guys that they love it on deeps,
Yeah.
especially the like younger single guys that they don't have families and stuff. They love it on deeps because you can be busy. That's where you find a lot of good stuff. Get a lot of good cop work in deeps.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's just with having a family, it's not very fun.
Let me ask you a question. And I know might weed people not weed people out, but like focus on some people. You just said you have friends on deeps, but do you find that they're a little bit more odd than the people that are not on deeps? The ones that have been on it for like a long time.
You'll hear that a lot, and you'll see those funny memes, but honestly, not really.
Really?
Not really.
I didn't know that was like a myth or something.
Yeah, yeah. You'll see memes and stuff on Facebook making fun of that stuff,
Yeah.
like, oh, the weird night
Yeah.
guy and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you feel like a vampire, but
Yeah.
I've never met anybody that's.
So does that mean you're just as weird as they are?
Maybe I am, and I just don't understand it. Yeah, I just can't tell.
It's my people. No, but just going back to like, you know, trying to manage your time and sleep. I know sleep hygiene is very important, and if you're going to be on deeps or you have been on deeps, it's difficult. Your body will get used to it, but there's obviously other factors into that keep you awake. Or if you have a family, it's hard to do that. Um, but quality over quantity, I feel like, when it comes to family. When you're with your family and you've gotten a little bit of sleep, you have a couple days off, put the phone down, be engaged with your kids, like look them in the eye when they're talking. And I know I'm bad at this sometimes too, because I'm like, oh, I got emails from work, I have to do this, I have to do that, I'm looking at other things, and then they're talking to me and I'm talking to them, but I'm like looking at my phone at the same time. And once I put the phone down, I'm like engaging in a conversation with them. I learned so much more about them, which is crazy. But it gives us that oxytocin release, for both of us, and it's bonding for both of us and the child, and the family time is a lot more. It's better. It's a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, believe me, I have. I mean, I have that problem too. I'll be on my phone and I won't be thinking about it, and there'll be times the kids will be yelling my name, and I won't even be paying attention because I'm just drowning out on the phone, not paying attention to anything, just kind of vegging. And then I'm like, oh, what? You're talking to me? I feel bad. It's horrible. You shouldn't do that to your kids, but still, it
Sometimes you
happens.
zone out.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. So
Yeah. But I mean, even the littlest things like that, it really helps to, have that quality time when you do have the time for them. And I know we have a rule like at dinner, like no phones at the table. We have like certain questions we ask just to get the kids engaged, even our 3-year-old, even though we don't get great responses from her. They're not really rational responses, but they're fun. So
how
mean,
was your day, Daddy? I'm a princess.
okay, let's roll with it. But yeah, it's just being there. And if you can, plan an activity that that you have like a long weekend off, like, go to the splash pad. Those are usually free, usually in the communities. But, anything to get the kids out and even yourself out, to be out there, not on electronics or, not just sitting in front of a TV. It's helpful.
Right, and that's what we were talking about that earlier today. Like, hey, let's go do something tomorrow. Like today, I was doing a lot of stuff around the house, trying to fix some things.
Yeah.
But I know we were talking about trying to do something fun tomorrow for the kids, so at least get us out of the house. Because as much as it's fun to just sit there and do nothing, it's also, I feel like, I've noticed I'll have those weekends where I feel like I don't want to do anything, right? And I'll sit around and I won't do anything. And by either that evening or midday through the next day, I'm like, I need to do something. We need to get out and do something. Like, I guess I just can't sit around for that long and do nothing. So
I think not doing nothing, but I'm kind of the opposite, where it's like I think it was last week we went to the splash pad to get the kids out, but that whole week I had clients, I had supervision, like I had this paper that I'm trying to correct, and it's like it was so much that week, and plus like take care of the kids, so it was very exhausting. And then you're like, let's go to the splash pad, and in my mind I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this is so tiring. But then I forced myself. I was like, just do it, it's good for the kids, we'll get out there. And we did it, and I just felt so much better, like being out there in the sun and watching the kids, and then like I just felt better doing it.
Yeah, it was actually really nice. And a plus for you got to see me in a bathing suit. So
it's true. That is true.
But no, you're right though. It was nice to get out. It was nice to, and you know what? It tired them out, and it gave us a night that we had a lot more time for us just to hang out and be together, because the kids were tired out from hanging out and
fell asleep early.
Fell asleep a lot quicker than normal. So.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
But I mean, I get it. Like I said, you're tired. You do a lot. You worked 3 12-hour shifts in a row, and you don't want to do anything that first day sometimes. And with you and your school and your clients, and like you said, you're writing that giant ass paper right now. Yeah, of course you want to just veg, because your mind is worn out from it. I get it completely. So.
And sometimes we get so busy too. I feel like we both know, what we're doing or is, stressful and it takes a lot of time and it's exhausting. But sometimes I feel we just kind of get in our own world sometimes, and so like there's weeks where like my clients, there's not as much as I have like the week before, or I'm not doing a paper or something and it's a little easier, but like you had just a crazy week at work, had a couple of rests and just really exhausted because you lacked some sleep, and I almost like I'm expecting too much from you, I guess. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not tired and I do all this stuff. Why aren't you tired? Like, why are you? Yeah, and it's sometimes it's hard to kind of get in each other's worlds and kind
I
of be empathetic.
I think that's just a normal reaction because I mean I do the same thing with you sometimes, and I'm like, well, you just hung out with the kids, and which I know that's very stressful, but when I want to do something and you don't, I'm like, what have you done all week? Even though you've done a ton all week, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just one of those things, and that's I guess that's just a selfishness and an inherent selfishness maybe in people. Like we want to do things for ourselves sometimes, and we don't think of others at times because we're like, hey, I'm in the mood to do this. Why aren't you? Instead of giving that empathy and putting yourself in their shoes, you just think about yourself sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard somewhere that empathy could be like a perishable skill. I always wondered if that was true.
I mean, if you don't, I guess if you're never empathetic to people, yeah, sure, then you're never going to be show that
You don't
empathy.
use it, you lose it.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what
Is
I
that a
was
real
thinking
thing? Is that a
about?
true? Is that a real question?
That's an interesting question. But I mean, you bring up the word selfish, and I know talking, we can probably have a whole episode of that, knowing we've talked about the whole selfishness and all that. But yeah, I think that is one of our evolutionary traits is have being selfish. It's just kind of like who we are, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well, and I think that selfish trait kind of goes along with your survival.
yeah,
Being selfish in certain ways is for your own survival, and maybe not as much now. Back in the day, like,
yeah,
oh, I killed an animal back in the 10,000 BC, and I'm not sharing it with you because I need this for me and my family. That's selfishness. That was a survival technique,
yeah,
but it's not quite the same anymore.
yeah.
But
Or the level of like emotional selfishness. I mean, we all want to be nurtured. We want to be seen and loved and cared for, and to know you see me and love me and care for me. But sometimes, like, I get in my own head, like I'm doing all these things, and it's like, oh, I'm not, I'm not getting praise for this. Like everything I do, what the heck's going on? And sometimes it gets a little selfish.
hey,
Yeah.
did you not realize what I did this
I
week?
clean the dishes. What the heck? Praise me for
You
it.
need to follow me around and clap for everything I do.
Where did that start? Was it like the gold stars in like kindergarten? Like every time you did something, you got a gold star, and now we're just like conditioned to be like, "Where's my prize?"
Well, I mean that's a whole different debate, and that could be a whole nother subject too.
True.
You see that all the time. I saw, I think, a meme earlier today. It said, "You're from the generation where if you stop crying, I'll buy you a present." And then the other one said, "I'm from a generation that if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about."
These are both terrible.
Right, right.
Like,
But
terrible.
it's kind of like that. Oh, you did something I asked you for, so here's a present.
Yeah.
Or I know when I played baseball when I was a kid, we always got a trophy no matter how good you did, right?
Yeah.
I've always been told that that wasn't a thing back in the day, but that's what I always saw. But
Yeah. Well, you're talking about positive and negative reinforcement, I think, and I mean, what do you think is better? Especially, like, let's say, like raising children, not just like our experiences. What do you think is more effective, negative reinforcement or positive in general? Like, obviously not.
I would say positive reinforcement's a little bit better than negative because I feel like negative can really affect a child.
Mm.
I mean, getting yelled at all the time makes you angry, and what I don't have wouldn't be able to tell you the stats on it or anything, but I'm sure maybe you remember the stat, but someone who's abused as a child tends to abuse their own children, right? And there an actual stat on that. So
Yeah, I don't know the actual stats, but I mean, it's kind of like alcoholic parents. Either they do not touch a lick of alcohol, or they become just as
just as
excessive
bad.
as them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
So
bad.
I mean, there's so many things that you could go into with all that, but I mean, yeah, I think
But what are you talking about abuse? What do you mean?
Well, that's kind of the same thing as the alcoholic one. Like, I mean, let's say you're abused as a child,
Mm.
and then when you're an adult and you have children, a lot of times that abuse is the
I
same.
see what you're saying. Yeah, kind of like the bully at school.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
usually
yeah.
yeah.
Normally getting abused at home
Yeah.
because that's why they're treating everybody like crap at school.
Well,
Kind
yeah,
of
that
thing. So
definitely goes into modeling theory, and yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, anyway, back to
So we went to like spending quality time with your kids to abusing kids, abusive kids.
you could just rabbit hole all day.
Yeah.
So, well,
Like
let's go
it.
back to that quality time then. So, like I said, something. I mean, I love my sleep, and I need my sleep just like everybody else. But I definitely don't mind losing a little sleep just to get a bit of that quality time. I mean, what were we? Before I went to work yesterday, I was playing Call of Duty in real life with my 6-year-old, which basically we just got toy guns and we're shooting at each other. But
Yeah.
you know, it was just that quality time that I took, about 30 minutes to an hour before I had to get ready for work and leave. But it was fun, it was enjoyable, and I'm glad we got to do it. So,
So how much sleep do you think that you could lose without being affected by it?
me personally, I feel like when I'm reaching that realm of between through, let's say, a long week, let's say I'm working 5 days in the week, it's not my short week. If I lose between probably 4 and 5 hours,
For the whole week?
yeah, I think
Mm.
that's when it really starts to kick in and hit me. So
When does it start kicking in?
it really starts to kick in around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when I'm sitting there, especially when it's my last shift and I know I'm coming up on my weekend. Yeah, that's when it. I mean, what was it last Tuesday? I think we were talking, and it was. I don't think it was even 10 yet. It was like 9 o'clock. I was talking to you. I'm like, I am just dead right now, right? And I still had 7 more hours to go in my shift, and I was done.
Yeah.
And I tried to drink some. I think I got a giant Red Bull. I've been trying to cut back on them, but I had to get one. And even then, I hit about midnight, and it was already gone. I was like, oh, I'm back to being horribly tired. So.
Yeah. This thing with sleep too is it's cumulative by nature. Like if you lose 4 hours in a night, let's say, like usually, let's say you get 8 hours and you lose half of that, and then the next night you get 8 hours, you're still short 4 hours.
Right.
Like it's gonna come up sometime during that week. So like even in your days off, if you can take like an hour nap, if you're losing that, it's much better.
It helps your body out.
Yeah, and it helps like your patience and all that too.
Yes.
Like,
Because that's
so
like
grumpy.
we've talked about. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're just an angry butthole all the time, it's not. That doesn't afford you quality time with your children because they're sitting there like, what the hell is going on with dad or mom? Why are they acting like this?
Yeah.
I don't like being yelled at for nothing, and
Yeah.
I don't like yelling at them for nothing. I just when you hit that fuse and that temper, and
Mhm.
it's been screaming all day and yelling at you all day, yeah, it hits you hard and it gets you.
Yeah, I don't study sleep. That's I'm definitely like don't even scratch the surface really of it, like saying that I understand it like to that level, but like the science behind it. But I do know they have like extensive studies now where they're saying like sleep is so important to us that it's like just like drinking those like 8 ounces of or 8 glasses of water every day. Like it is so essential to our health that it can cause like a lot of bad things in the future and even in your everyday life with like stress and all that. But it's so important. So if you ever want to check that out, because I'm not going to. But
Well, geez, I'm just screwed then. My 1,000 milligrams of caffeine,
yeah.
maybe one bottle of water, and then no sleep. Another losing battle.
Oh yes. Yeah. Not good healthy habits.
No, not at all. But I am trying to fix that. I have been cutting back on the energy drinks. Try not to drink so much of those because I was feeling it in my chest. I'm like, oh man, I'm drinking too many of these.
I heard cocaine's really good to stay awake. And you're already the cop, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm not one of those cops. Not one of those. Not at all. So
Do people even do cocaine anymore?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I arrested a dude not too long. Well, I mean, not too long ago. It was like 2 years ago now, but he had
Okay.
cocaine on him.
Like real like powder
Yeah,
cocaine?
real powdered
Wow.
cocaine in his pocket.
Does he have a time machine? He come from the 80s? It's just interesting.
It was kind of weird. He was wearing a nice suit, and he said he just came from the stock market. I think. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
So I figure it's like all like heroin or meth out there and no cocaine was still popular. It's so expensive, I'm sure.
It's still out there. There's I think some key demographics that still really use cocaine,
Yeah.
but it is definitely a lot more meth and heroin is seen. I think meth seems to be the biggest thing. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's so easy to get cheap, it seems like.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure it is. You know, if cocaine's good enough for Freud, I think it's good enough for anybody.
hey, yeah, look at the stuff he did, right?
Yeah, it's all been debunked, but he had no idea what he was talking about.
Oh man, oh man. Alrighty. Well, like I said, that we were saying there were going to be a short episode today for Father's Day, but we just start talking, it just keeps going. So, but we do appreciate you guys listening.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy
to all
Father's
the
Day, everybody. Yeah, definitely.
fathers out there, yeah.
We
Uniform, no
appreciate you.
uniform.
Uniformed. If you were sitting in a patrol car this holiday weekend, so was I. So I get it. It sucked, but it's part of the job. So, but if you follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, go ahead and make sure you like our post. Make sure you rate us, give us a good rating, and follow us on Facebook at The Police Condition. You can like our page. You can comment on, message us. We'll message you back. And if you want to email us, let's say you want to ask us something maybe a little personal you don't want everybody to see, thepolicecondition@gmail.com. We're always there to listen. Like I said, we're always there to talk. If you're ever feeling bad, you need someone to talk to, we're here. We'll always be there for you. We will do whatever we can to talk to you. So, again, this is The Police Condition. I'm Ryan.
I'm Laura.
And we are 1042.